What's up, fight fans? This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News, and I got some new news for you concerning Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder, or Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury, however you want to bill it. This is the official all access episode recap. The first episode just was Saturday last night, and I want to talk to you guys about that episode. I like Showtime. All Access is a great competitor to the Once 24/7, which showed you the backstory and the actual lives of the fighters, which that's what got everyone into boxing. You know what I'm saying? It was a great new element to the sport of boxing 24/7. I believe it started with Mayweather, with a Mayweather undercard. I can't remember which one. Was it Ricky Haddon or Martin? Maybe Oscar De La Hoya. I can't remember the 24/7 that started this whole thing, but it did start there with Floyd, I believe. And this is no exception. I like how they started off with Tyson Fury and, his father, John Fury, which he is, these guys are a part of the traveling gypsies that, their lifestyle is to travel, and they're on the go and they pack up and, you know what I mean? It showed a backstory of where they come from. And of course, Tyson Fury, when he was born, and despite how big he is now, he's like 6'9", you know what I mean? But, he was born 8 weeks premature. That's something I personally didn't know. And, and he died 3 times and, was born 1 pound and, you know what I mean? And his father was like, okay, if this guy fought, if this baby, this kid, has fought this much to stay into this world, I gotta name him Tyson, because at the time he was born, Mike Tyson was knocking everybody left and right out. You know what I'm saying? So that was an appropriate word to call him. And actually, he said his other son was going to be called Holyfield. So, I thought that was actually, useful information that people would like to know that are boxing aficionados like us. Or like I am, at least. You know what I mean? I'd like to think you guys are, but it's that was good. Of course, they went to the backstory. Now, jump on Deontay Wilder's side. They just really kind of backdated of how everything started, of what we've pretty much covered from up to this point, with the press conferences and stuff like that. But it did have some content that I know that was useful, that I personally wanted to see, because I remember his birthday. It was really very seldom guys, that really said, hey, it's Deontay Wilder's birthday, because I really didn't hear that from a lot of channels, including the LDBC channels. You would think like those particular channels would be like, hey, happy birthday to the American WBC heavyweight champ, Deontay the Bronze Bomber Wilder. You didn't see a lot of that. I even Googled it, you know what I'm saying? I didn't really see anything concerning Deontay Wilder's birthday. I'm like, well, damn, that's his date. You know what I mean? So I made a video about that. You know what I mean? Like, hey, happy birthday, Deontay. You know what I'm saying? He's turning 33. What does that mean? You know what I mean? 33 is kind of like one of those ages where, it's you're getting on up there, champ. You know what I'm saying? It's for any fighter, because 34, then 35 is right around the corner. Then things start happening at 30. Your testosterone level's supposed to change, smallly, depends on your genetic history and all that stuff. But, statistically, it's supposed to lower at 30, So since he's 33, I wondered if he's experienced into that. But, if he stays in shape, there shouldn't be a problem right now. But, I thought that was worth mentioning. Of course, he was, he mentioned, he didn't ever say Joshua. But he did mention, like, hey, yeah, you ever had something promised to you and you didn't make it, and it wasn't given to you. They tried to freeze me out, but I'm too hot. You know what I mean? And I did, catch on to that. And I know who he was referring to. And I don't know if it was edited that way, you know what I mean? For just, for the show purpose. And if it was a good idea, because, regardless of what or how Deontay Wilder's profile been raised, or his popularity or his notoriety or whatever, regardless of how it was raised, it shouldn't be addressed on this show. This show is about Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury. And I'm glad whoever edited was like, no, we don't need Anthony Joshua in there. We don't need to talk about that. That might be in episode 2, which is the last episode before the epilogue. We just got to wait and see. But as of now, it wasn't in there, and it was good because we can focus on these two guys. Because this whole fight has been concerning a whole nother fight that ain't even happened, right? So, I think that's really disrespectful to both guys, honestly. Regardless if that's the fight we want to see or not, it's still a fight that has to be reckoned with in this fight. Okay, so, but he mentioned that a little bit, but he didn't really go into the rant or whatever. And if he did, they've edited it. So that was mentioned. He talked about his children. He has like 6 kids and a stepchild. He wants to have another child, to have 8, like a basketball team. You know what I mean? So, like those are things that you want to know about that particular dude's life. You know what I mean? And his birthday, you could tell back to his birthday, his kids were with him on his birthday, which was cool. He probably didn't want to be out there drinking or whatever, or doing this and doing that. Not to say he didn't, but he did spend a lot of time with his family, which was awesome. It's A-okay to me because, a lot of people want their birthday to be private, which, hey, there's nothing wrong with that. You know what I'm saying? But this gives you that, this guy is a father too. Is a father, is a brother, is a son. You know what I mean? So, it gives you a backstory on that, on these guys. Of course, his dad's a pastor and, you know what I mean? And, now his brother is, following his footsteps, but he didn't follow his father's footsteps, even though he's considered Pastor Wilder sometimes, you know what I mean? So, then it covered a lot of content, man. It went from that back to Fury because, they flip flop, you know what I mean? And it got a detailed example of footage that Tyson Fury ringside at the night the night Deontay Wilder knocked out Spilka, okay? And you could clearly see, knowing what you know now, how fucked up Tyson Fury was. He was, yeah, I'm the chap. You know what I mean? He blowing his nose, you know what I mean? And I'm like, yeah, that's coke. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? You could tell he did a few rails before he went up in there because he was just too amped up. You know what I mean? He was saying like, I want to drink. I'm about to go on stage. I'm about to stage this guy up. You know what I mean? Things like that. But you could tell he was like that person if you look deeper into it. And you really didn't have to look that deep. You just thought it was like, hey, the champ's having a good time, like Earl Spence and Adrian Broner and these guys, they get full, and Deontay Tank Davis, these guys, they get full at fights, but Tyson Fury was on a whole different platform, and you could tell by looking at that footage because like the cameraman actually followed him. Followed him in the ring, outside the ring, and what he did after the ring. And, he's buying people drinks. And he said he did this for 18 months straight. Said he tried to kill himself. And you could see the way he was moving about, just really expressed, that, hey, man, you could tell he was pretty blasted. He was pretty blasted. You know what I'm saying? So, and you could tell that, and it showed it showed the signs of the way he was acting. You know what I mean? And it's a good reflection on Tyson Fury because Tyson Fury can look at that and see what he was doing at that time. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can look at it and tell, like, oh, he was on something. He was probably doing some coke or whatever. We know he was drunk, but, the way he was acting, he looked like he was hopped up on something, but he knew exactly what he was doing. Like, yeah, I remember I was high on my mind on that time. You know what I mean? To probably tell you that, But, where he, from where he was then, and he said he wasn't ready to fight Wilder, is pretty much, crash and burn. He was, going down the downslope at that time, and I'm glad they had that footage because seeing stuff like that, you ever showed somebody something or heard themselves or recorded someone bent, just trashed. You know what I mean? And they look at it and they're like, oh God, I can't believe I did that. You know what I'm saying? That's the type of reaction that he sees. And he sees that, and he should watch that as a reminder of what he shouldn't spiral himself back into. You know what I mean? It's helpful for everybody. A lot of people just remember the way they felt because, of course, Tyson said that, hey, it numbed me. You know what I mean? From the feelings of anxiety and depression and stuff like that he was going through. His mental illness. So but when you see it recorded, you see yourself. You can see your actions, the way you're reacting with people, your interactions with people. Like he could see, like, wow, I know that was not me. You know what I mean? And I do not want to be like that again. So yeah, it was good to see that. I'm glad they covered that. I'm surprised that they followed him like that, because that was a great example of what you don't do when you get the heavyweight championship of the world. You know what I'm saying? But what else did they cover on this fight? Tyson looks old. He looks old. I have to say that. Like, he looks old. They showed a picture of him as a little baby and his dad. His dad looked like just like him when he had hair. They both went bald, right? It's kind of like they went bald late 20s. Boom, it's gone. Because I like, once you seen Tyson Fury with hair, and then the next time he's bald, like, what the hell, right? But Tyson Fury looks old. He looks like he was burnt out on drugs at one point. He lost a lot of weight. Good for him. 150 pounds. He's up there in Big Bear, and his strategy, or his theory rather, is when he comes down from elevation, he should be ready to fight, because he said it. Let's hope that's what he is. Let's hope, that hard training that he's doing up there in that high altitude, is building, red blood cells. That's how the high altitude works. You're up in high altitude, you're breathing harder, your body's creating more red blood cells. So when you come back down, you're that much stronger. You got a lot of, more blood cells working and, going towards your muscles, and, gives you more energy and stuff like that. So it's a science to it, rather. You ask, Golovkin, Oscar De La Hoya, Sugar Shane, whoever else is, trained up there once upon a time. It is beneficial. So, but, the fight looks like it's a good fight. All Access did a good job with this episode 1. What else happened in that was worth mentioning? Of course, the trash talk was always classic, but, we've covered that before. You're going to see that coming from these two guys. And actually, man, I think that's it, as far as these guys come. You know what I mean? This episode was pretty good. It was very informative. I dug it. They had enough background footage. However, I would say the trainer of Deontay Wilder, I think that while he was discussing his game plan, that camera shouldn't have recorded that. I wouldn't want, if I'm Deontay Wilder or I'm his trainer, I'm like, hey, take that shit off of there. Don't put that in there. This is private. You know what I'm saying? Because he was telling him things that Tyson Fury would do. You know what I mean? Now Tyson Fury knows that your trainer knows this, and that's what he's actually training. Opponents should never know what you're training. You know what I mean? If you looked at the other 24/7s with other fighters like Juan Manuel Marquez, they worked on certain things that they didn't want the public to know, so they weren't ever able to film that part. That shouldn't have been filmed. When his trainer, when he gets out and he steps out of clinch, you know what I mean? So be alert. He'll try a little stick. He shouldn't have learned. I wouldn't have filmed that. That would be my only complaint about not even the show, but about the trainer of Deontay Wilder. But of course, there's a lot of things that I debate on the side of Wilder. But this show was very cool. It was nice. It was very informative. Once again, you guys tell me what you think about this particular show if you saw it. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunched. Peace.